Examination 2. This section of the examination tests your understanding of spoken English. The listening section has 3 parts. There are 50 questions. Mark all your answers on the separate answer sheet. Do not make any stray marks on the answer sheet. If you change your mind about an answer, erase your first answer completely. Listening test, Part 1. In this part, you will hear short conversations. From the 3 answer choices given, choose the answer which means about the same thing as what you hear, or what is true based upon what you hear. For example, listen to the conversation.
Have you tried the new coffee shop on the corner?
Not yet, but I've heard it's nice. Let's check it out.
The correct answer is B. For problems 1 through 17, mark your answer on the separate answer sheet. No problems can be repeated. Please listen carefully. Do you have any questions? Number 1.
Did you know that for swimmers it helps to be tall and muscular?
No, but I know that some of the best soccer players are small.
I never realized that being big is beneficial for some sports and not for others.
Number 2.
If I were you, I wouldn't go to work with such a fever.
Maybe I should stay at home.
I'm glad to hear that.
Number 3.
I've had my car towed away.
Oh no, how did it happen?
I went for a drink and I left it in a non-parking zone.
Number 4.
How did Mark make such a mistake?
I put it down to his lack of experience.
That's really no excuse.
Number 5.
We'll never get that raise we were promised.
Why do you say that?
Months have gone by and we still haven't heard a word.
Number 6.
Is workaholism really an addiction like alcoholism?
Opinions differ. I think it's an addiction.
Yet people are praised for working excessively.
They shouldn't be, because this is what encourages the addiction.
Number 7.
Why don't you give up and ask them for help?
I'll manage, you'll see. Number 8.
I hear Jane is seriously being considered for the job.
She should get it. She has all the required qualifications.
Number 9.
I've run out of ink and I can't print my assignment.
Go to the library and get it printed there.
If they have paper, I will, but I won't count on it.
Number 10.
Where could I get some coffee around here?
Go down here, and on the second floor opposite the staircase, there's a vending machine.
Number 11.
Can you give me a hand with my assignment this evening?
Are you joking? I haven't finished mine yet.
Well, let's pool our resources then.
Number 12.
How come you're still here? I thought you'd left.
I forgot my cell phone and came back to get it.
Wait, I need to ask you something before you go.
Number 13.
I ran into Tom the other day.
What's he up to?
He just got back from a trip to Mexico.
Number 14.
You haven't taken up smoking again, have you?
I never really managed to give it up.
Number 15.
Where have you been?
I've had the flu and I haven't been coming in.
Feeling better now?
Yes, but there's so much work to catch up with. Number 16.
I'm going to a concert on Saturday.
What a great idea. I haven't been to one in ages.
Had I known you'd be interested, I'd have got you a ticket.
Number 17.
I used to work very hard a few years ago.
Harder than this? You must be joking.
I don't think I work that hard now.
End of part 1. Part 2. In this part of the test, you will hear a question. From the 3 answer choices given, choose the one which best answers the question. Example.
Let's agree to meet at 7:30 then.
The correct answer is A. For problems 18 through 35, mark your answers on the separate answer sheet. No problems can be repeated. Please listen carefully. Do you have any questions? Number 18.
What do you think of my report?
Number 19.
Why did you take such a long time to finish the work?
Number 20.
What did you have for lunch?
Number 21.
How did you rate the seminar this morning?
Number 22.
What shall I do if it rains?
Number 23.
How did you learn about Mary's promotion?
Number 24.
What is all this noise about?
Number 25.
Why did you stop coming to the gym once you got married?
Number 26.
Where did you have these photographs developed?
Number 27.
I finally got some guys to paint the house.
Number 28.
What was the movie like?
Number 29.
Where did the man leave his briefcase?
Number 30.
Why aren't you taking the elevator?
Number 31.
Do you happen to know where she's sitting?
Number 32.
Are they going to have a conference this year?
Number 33.
Where do you plan to stay when you're in Chicago?
Number 34.
Is this table marked down?
Number 35.
Have you cleared out all the cupboards in the basement yet?
End of Part 2. Part 3. In this part, you will hear 3 short segments from a radio program. The program is called Learning from the Experts. You will hear what 2 different radio guests have to say about 3 different topics. Each talk lasts about 2 minutes. As you listen, you may want to take notes to help you remember information given in the talk. Write your notes in this test booklet. After each talk, you will be asked some questions about what was said. From the 3 answer choices given, you should choose the one which best answers the question according to the information you heard. Remember, no problems can be repeated. For problems 36 through 50, mark your answers on the separate answer sheet. Do you have any questions? Segment 1. The word globalization was introduced in the late 1970s and gained widespread currency by 1999. Many thought it described a wholly novel phenomenon, but Nayan Chanda, Director of Publications at the Yale Center for the Study of Globalization, explains that it is a new word to describe an old process. Adrian Martinez reports.
Mr. Chanda organizes his argument around what he takes to be the 4 groups that have done most to bring about a process of interconnectedness: traders, preachers, adventurers, and warriors. Though the motives of these groups have usually been selfish, such as to profit, convert, learn, or conquer, the overall effect of their actions has been to draw us all closer together. Justin Tan?
Mr. Chanda traces advances in trading practices, from donkeys and camels to container ships and cargo planes. He says, the extension and use of railroads, aircraft, and the internet brings peoples geographically remote into close connection commercially and politically. They make the world one.
What makes globalization today appear so dramatic and sometimes controversial, Mr. Chanda says, is its visibility. He points out that in 1453 it took 40 days for the Pope to learn that Constantinople had fallen to the Turks. In 2001, by contrast, the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center fell in real time on live television as the world watched on in horror.
Such examples hint at the fragility of a globalized world. The closer the connections between the parts, the more vulnerable the whole system becomes to any major problems. The fall of the Roman Empire, the Black Death, the collapse of trade and migration in the interwar years of the 20th century, all these either slowed the process of globalization or stopped it.
Yet today, the threats we face from a superbug like SARS, for instance, or from terrorism can go global faster than any of the threats in the past. On the upside, so can our response to them.
Number 36. Why does Mr. Chanda mention the 4 groups of people? Number 37. What does the speaker say about donkeys and camels? Number 38. According to Mr. Chanda, what makes globalization so dramatic? Number 39. What does the speaker say about the World Trade Center? Number 40. How does the speaker feel about the response to threats today? Segment 2. Language is one of the characteristics that is traditionally thought to distinguish human beings from animals. But research into animal communication continues to fascinate and surprise. Joanne Miller reports.
Do parrots actually understand what they're saying? Science's best-known parrot died on September 6th, aged 31. Alex, his name, is supposedly an acronym of Avian Learning Experiment, spent his life learning complex tasks that it had originally been thought only primates could master. Ron Swartz tells us more.
Prior to Alex, researchers had made an elementary error in trying to teach their anthropoid subjects to speak. Chimpanzee vocal cords are simply not up to this, and it was not until someone had the idea of teaching chimps sign language any progress was made. The researchers' assumption was that chimps might be able to understand and use human sign language because they are humanity's nearest living relatives. It took a brilliant insight to turn this human centricity on its head and look at the capabilities of a species only distantly related to humanity, but which can, nevertheless, speak the words people speak. Parrot.
Dr. Pepperberg, in 1977, bought a 1-year-old African grey parrot. Using a training technique now employed on children with learning difficulties, in which 2 adults handle and discuss an object, sometimes making deliberate mistakes, Dr. Pepperberg and collaborators at the University of Arizona began teaching Alex how to describe things, how to make his desires known, and even how to ask questions.
By the end, Alex displayed the cognitive powers of a 5-year-old child. He had a vocabulary of 150 words. He knew the names of 50 objects and could, in addition, describe their colors, shapes, and the materials they were made from. He could ask for things and would reject things he did not want. He could understand and discuss the concepts of bigger, smaller, same, and different. He even knew how to apologize if he annoyed Dr. Pepperberg or her collaborators. Alex would talk and perform for anyone, and not just Dr. Pepperberg.
There are still a few researchers who think Alex's skills were the result of rote learning rather than abstract thought. However, he convinced most in the field that birds, as well as mammals, can evolve complex and sophisticated cognition and communicate the results to others.
Number 41. What is Alex according to the speaker? Number 42. What did researchers originally believe? Number 43. What did Dr. Pepperberg do with Alex? Number 44. What was the result of Alex's training? Number 45. What did the result of the experiment prove? Segment 3.
Most people have heard of Henry Moore, but not many know that his large sculptures are exhibited in London's Kew Gardens. Visitors there can touch, walk around, and peer through the massive sculptures created by Moore in the last 30 years of his life. Jan Marlowe was there.
I would rather have a piece of my sculpture put in a landscape, almost any landscape, than in or on the most beautiful building I know, wrote Henry Moore. Yet much of his work has ended up in cities, and outdoor exhibitions are rare. So the planting of 28 monumental sculptures in London's Kew Gardens is a notable event. Paul Rhodes reports.
Would Moore, who died in 1986, consider a garden an ideal setting for his great organic beasts? His preference was for the wild and natural, not for formality or ornamental flower beds. But Kew is the reverse of prim. Its vast acres of sloping greenery, its glades and its trees present a striking backcloth.
As the visitor strolls round, sometimes into Moore's abstract forms, their asymmetrical holes and crevices allow ever-changing glimpses of the garden's natural beauty. As the seasons change and the trees grow gradually skeletal, the view through the gaps dramatically alters.
One of his moving pieces at Kew, oval with points, is said to have been inspired by an elephant's skull. As he gazed at it, Moore once wrote, he began to see great deserts and rocky landscapes, big caves on the sides of a hill, great pieces of architecture, columns, and dungeons.
Moore was particularly fascinated by the interaction of exterior and interior forms, the armor that protects the body, the shell that protects the snail. An outstanding example of this kind of stern exterior guarding an intricate interior is the magnificent large upright that stands sentry between Kew's Palm House and pagoda. Protection at its most tender is shown in the draped Reclining Mother and Baby. This is a work that brings together some of Moore's major themes and does so with extraordinary grace.
Number 46. Where did Henry Moore want his sculpture to be exhibited? Number 47. What would Henry Moore like about Q? Number 48. In which season does the speaker imply the view through the sculptures will change? Number 49. What inspired Henry Moore to create oval with points? Number 50. What does the speaker say large upright was partly inspired by? End of part 3. End of the listening test.